Second half TD passes to make the score much closer than the game really was. Tom Merriam, New Orleans.
President Trump was at the Superdome. At halftime, it was Kendrick Lamar.
Nobody pray for me.
A performer at Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show unfurled a flag emblazoned with the words Sudan and Gaza in a protest over the two wars in the Middle East. The New Orleans Police Department says they're working to find out if any charges will be filed. The NFL says that person will be banned for life from NFL stadiums and events. Before arriving at the Super Bowl, President Trump said he would announce the U.S. will impose 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports, including from Canada and Mexico, as well as other import duties later in the week. Those will be reciprocal.
If they are charging us 130% and we're charging them nothing, it's not going to stay that way.
The president says he's directing the Treasury Department to stop minting new pennies, citing the rising cost of producing the pennies. This is AP News. Turkish President Recep Erdogan has again rejected a U.S. proposal to relocate Palestinians from Gaza
and says Israel should pay for the damage it caused there and for reconstruction to begin. Erdogan, during a visit to Malaysia on Monday, said, "We do not consider the proposal to exile the Palestinians from the lands they have lived in for thousands of years as something to be taken seriously." The Turkish president is on a 4-day tour of Malaysia, Indonesia and Pakistan. He said the government of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu should look for funds to compensate what he said was damage amounting to $100 billion instead of looking for a place for the people of Gaza. I'm Karen Shamas.
A Marine from California, Sergeant Jacob Durham, was identified by military officials as one of 4 people killed when a plane contracted by the U.S. military crashed in a rice field in the southern Philippines. I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see increasing cloud cover here for today with a high into the mid-30s. Winds out of the west around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, a chance for some flurries here late, mostly cloudy, a low near 23. By Tuesday, slight chance for snow early, cloudy, high of 28 degrees. Wednesday, a chance for some snow here, cloudy and a high around 28. Thursday, sunny, high of 20. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 18.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that will focus on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Monday morning, progressives, and welcome to the February 10th, 2025 edition of Choose Views. 773-763-9278. Catch us on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, and iHeartRadio, as well as emailing me at richard@wcpt820.com. And we're updating all of our streaming outlets, and we'll kind of get those corrected for you as this week goes by. Catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. There you can get Choose Views, our short version and long version in terms of interviews and shows. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez. The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, and Out Chicago and our other shows and interviews. Check out our heartlandsignal.com digital platform because there is lots of good stuff there. Make your way over there, guys. And Black History Month it is most definitely, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. We talked about it a little bit last week. We talked about that is the month that we're in. It's February. It's been that way for years. And we got a few clips that are kind of leaning into Black History Month or the conversation around Black History Month, maybe more accurately stated. And a few of those clips are going to talk about perspective around Black History Month. So, as I've said for such a long time, Black history is American history, and all cultural histories are American history. So we've got some interesting clips that Devin and I put together over the weekend. So I want you guys to be able to enjoy those. But let's make our way over to Choose Views News, Devin, and kind of bring a few quick items to our wonderful, wonderful listeners. Federal judge has halted the USAID job cuts. Federal judge on Friday ordered a temporary pause to the Trump administration's directive to place thousands of employees from the U.S. Agency for International Development on administrative leave. Judge Carl Nichols issued the ruling in U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C., after hearing arguments from the Trump administration and two federal worker advocacy groups. Over 2,000 USAID employees were scheduled to be put on leave Friday night. Trump earlier on Friday called for the agency to be shut down entirely. 401k participation hits a milestone. After almost a half a century since the introduction, 401k plans have hit a milestone with 50% of private sector workers now making contributions, according to the Wall Street Journal. That's up from 43% a decade ago, a rise largely fueled by policymakers' efforts to expand access. Participation rates are also rising as many companies automatically enroll employees. However, research shows around 40% of workers still aren't saving enough for retirement. 40% would take a pay cut to keep WFH, work from home, in place as more and more companies crack down on remote work. Retailer Gap is the latest to call its corporate staff back to office. A Harvard Business School study underlined many workers' continuing preference for remote options. Per the study published this week, 40% of work-from-home employees would take a 5% cut rather than return to the office, with 9% claiming they'd forego as much as 20% of their salary. That is a major statement that folks would stay at home rather than make their way to the office. There's a whole deeper dive that needs to be taken into that one, Devin. People would, in some cases, up to 20% of their salary to not go to the office. That tells you a lot about what people really, in this survey at least, are valuing. Their time, their access, their energy, all kinds of things, versus going to the office. And probably there's a reduction of some of the workplace stress that they don't have to deal with. So, all right, juice brands feeling price pressure. What's that mean? Orange juice spots on America's breakfast tables is no longer guaranteed. Disease and rising costs of maintaining orange groves, ironically, have made business unsustainable for many growers. Orange juice demands have tumbled with a record low in 2024 that, according to the Department of Agriculture. Data signals this year could be even worse. But brands such as Tropicana and Minute Maid are trying to recapture their 1990s era glory by diversifying with options like juice blends and agua frescas. And unfortunately, with the amount of potential impact from deportation or the threat of deportation, we're probably going to see potentially see a crop shortage or adjustment in that delivery system, which will probably push prices up as well. And last but not least, today, Hollywood is hesitant about AI. Ever since OpenAI revealed its artificial intelligence video generator, Sora, the company has been busy pitching the tech to Hollywood studios, according to Bloomberg, citing many anonymous sources, but so far there have been few takers. While some AI tools are already used by filmmakers and fueling Oscar season controversies, streaming-scarred studios may be skittish about rushing into complex new partnerships with tech companies, as well as concerned about the blowback from labor unions. So, a little bit of Choose Views news on this Monday morning, February 10th, 2025. All right, guys, we'll talk about yesterday's occurrence, that being the Super Bowl, which is now come and gone again. And I've got some observations and a question that I want to put to you guys. I'll give you my observations, and then I'll put the question to you before we go to the break. So, observations. Not so much about the sport itself, the game itself, in terms of, we know that Kansas City did not win the third time in a row, and Philadelphia Eagles really showed up and showed out, as the phrase goes. I was saying to some of the guys here in the studio last week my prediction and why, and my prediction was right. I predicted that Philadelphia would win. And I'm going to tie this to something you guys may not see, but I'm going to still do it because it's part of how we try to put the show out to you guys. I predicted that Philadelphia would win because I think that they had less pressure on them to win. 3 times is pressure there to win 3 anything. But I also felt that as I told the guys here, that Philadelphia had a defense that was better suited for winning this particular Super Bowl. So that's my little bit of sports analysis of the game. I'll stop there. I told Devin, I said, the little bit that I do know, about the football, if you want to call it even knowing something about football, maybe more opinion, was that. So there you go. But here are some of the observations that I'll make that I've just sort of paid attention to the last 12 hours or so. And that is that the game, the peripheral conversations around the game on social media were in some ways bigger than the game itself. I saw so much on social media yesterday and particularly last night that really spoke to something that I think is part of the broader conversation for all of us in this political, social, and economic times that we are in. What do I mean by that? So, many of the comments on social media focused around, and this is how I'll put it. Donald Trump can't pick a stock, he can't pick a cabinet, and he can't pick a Super Bowl winner. So, but much of the commentary, many of the comments that I saw on social media were around how many people had they picked their team based on where we've landed politically. Seriously, or they not pick their team. Some of their rationale behind who they were picking. Let's put it that way. Devin gave me a squint, and he said, you sure you want to say it that way? That's not how I meant to say it. Thanks, Devin. Much of people's commentary was around the social and political impacts of where the teams and the organizations have been. And, we know that there's the commentary around, Taylor Swift and her being in a relationship with Travis Kelce. And we also know the information around Mahomes and his wife and the kicker, Butker, whatever his name is, and their positions on women. We know all that's been out there, okay? So a lot of people were sort of nana boo boo. The chickens have come home to roost in terms of your belief about what women's roles are in life, and alone in a marriage, religion, and of course the current administration. And that was, people made their assertions based on how they sit politically. It's really interesting to watch, Devin, the numbers of people that were like, you're on the wrong side of social issues and yada, yada, yada. But the other side of that is there are people who've made similar comments about Philadelphia in terms of how what we know publicly or what's been put out there, some of those key players and where they land on issues. And Jalen Hurts would come top of mind because of his position on a number of things. And one of the things that's widely known now in the sports world and the business world is that his team of advisors are all women. And he's made it very clear that he feels that that's the best route for him professionally on and off the field. So I think a lot of people have taken certain things to heart and how they view their athletes. And so my question, and again, the other piece I wanted to make, a point I wanted to make before we hit this break, is the statement that was made during the halftime show, subtly and overtly by Kendrick Lamar. And, you guys heard what I said about the NFL taking in racism out of the end zone. They replaced it with some other words. They could have kept it there. I think they still dropped the ball, no pun intended. They could have had 3 or 4 messages in racism, in sexism. They could have had a variety of messages around the end zone. It would have been nothing but good for our community. The NFL dropped the ball there. However, this is the question that listening and watching the commentary on social media leads me to. And I want to hear from you guys on this. Of course, our number is 773-763-9278. Where are we, or where do you think we are as a society when it comes to sports and politics and social issues and economic issues? Where are you? I'd love to hear from you guys in terms of what you think. And I'm going to give you a couple of sort of signposts, recent signposts. Clearly Trump has made his comments about sports. And there's been others that have made their comments about athletes. And, most certainly Trump made his comments about Colin Kaepernick and other football players a few years ago. Laura Ingraham, the Fox bleach blonde, made her comments about LeBron James and Kevin Durant, just shut up and dribble. So I'm curious what you guys think about how sports have a relationship with social, political, economic issues. And I want to hear what you guys have to say about that. And I'm not trying to lead you in any direction and promise me on that. I'm just curious as to what you think, what you see, what you feel, and some of the things that you may have heard in recent years when it comes to sports, athletes, leagues, and any sport. It could be tennis. Going back to COVID, there was some controversy that came up there with Djokovic. There's been stuff with the NBA. There's been stuff with Major League Baseball. Interestingly, not as much. There have been points with other global sports in terms of soccer. And the list goes on. I want to hear what you guys have to say, if you even have an opinion, on sports, politics, social, financial, political issues. We're going to take a quick break, though. Number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Around the Town, Chicago, with Al Besloff.
We had a very strange thing happen. Right. We were supposed to be talking to Ronnie Marmol, who is back.
Hey, Al, listen, I got a bone to pick with you. I listened to your broadcast last week after the fact, and you threw me under the bus. You acted like you couldn't find me. You guys were calling the wrong number.
I know.
How's that my fault?
At the time, it seemed like I had to do it that way.
No, I saw you threw me right under the bus.
Sunday afternoons at 1 on WCPT 820.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Good morning. You're waking up with Richard Chew.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
We're live and ready to hear from you. Text or call us now at 773-763-9278. Same number. Simple as that. Let's get the conversation going on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. So, I'll give you a quick little bit rundown of the week. Today we have David Peterson with us, the president of the National Philip A. Randolph Pullman Porter Museum. A great guest this month, and it's part of celebrating some of the key moments in Black history. DeMario Cooper, who is a co-executive director of the Center for Popular Democracy, will be with us tomorrow. Abe Scar, State Director of the Illinois Energy and Utilities Group. Kurt Mullet will be with us on Wednesday. Nicole Hallett, Professor of Law at University of Chicago. And Dr. Keys, who is the author of They Hear Expecting Greatness. That will be with us on Thursday. And then Karen Byrne and Natalie Zambia, who is the good friend of the show and councilwoman up in Woodstock, Illinois, will be with us on Friday. Sherman Dilla Thomas, the ambassador of the DuSable Black History Museum, will be with us as well. So looking forward to all of our guests this week. And man, oh man, was last week crazy or what? We had Mayor Johnson with us on Friday. We had one of the EPA leaders with us as well, Colin with EPA, Rich Logis leaving MAGA. Jamal Cole was with us, Nick Rios from the Lung Association, Holly Kim in studio with us, Candace DeMatteis was with us. Really busy week this week again, so we're looking forward to all of our guests. But I want to go back to the question that I asked before we went to the break. And what do you guys see as the conversation around sports, politics, social and economic issues? Where do you land on that? What are your thoughts? I'm curious what you have to say. You can send me a text, of course, but give us a call so we can chat a little bit about that. I saw this really cool posting this weekend about Costco, and let me just read this to you guys. And I thought it was just kind of spot on, and thought you guys would appreciate this. So let me just pull this one up real quickly. So we went to Costco today, bought enough coffee to last 2 months. On the way out, I stopped at the customer service desk to say, I know you've lost some memberships. I also know you've gained new members. I hope it's an overall plus for you. Most of all, I want to thank you for supporting the American people with Costco's position on DEI. Please tell your manager. He replied, actually, it's a landslide. We've gained many more new members than we lost. The ones we lost are unpleasant people. Wow. Okay, so we don't know that they lost the people because of. We can speculate all day long, but the message is there. And what is the message bigger and even beyond what this person at the service desk said back to the customer? I think the message is this. I think the message is that when you get behind an organization that is about supporting people and making people's lives better, people flock to that in a stronger way than they do to an organization that wants to make people's lives worse. I believe that in all my heart. I think that the essence of humanity is about moving things in a positive direction rather than in a negative direction. And what Costco has decided to do is say, we're going to move our organization, because it's founded in our belief system, in a positive direction to help the community, the specific and of customers and the broader community of the country. And I think that they're being rewarded for taking that stand. Oftentimes, if you listen to the family meeting, whether I'm on or not, Eric talks about, standing up for something, believing in something, and not really giving a darn about what people have to say about it. And Costco is taking that position. And the crazy imbalance is that Donald Trump is trying to go after Costco now for taking a stand to help people. And I saw this post shortly following this, where this guy, it was more of a reply to something that I had posted along with a few other people, and that is, he asked the question, tell me what. It's something that Kurt Mullet, our good friend from Hoosier Blue 63, had really put out as a reply to a post on social media. And basically, this guy was asking Kurt So what is it that I should be upset about of any of the things that Donald Trump has done since coming into office? And my reply back was, no, we're not going to answer your question with to tell you what you should be upset about. You tell us why you're supporting the things that he's done that are harmful. And that's kind of the position I want you guys to consider taking, is you don't have to prove anything to anybody. You ask them the question, why would you support the things that the administration is doing versus having to defend, putting the shoe on the other foot? Make them defend it. Make them explain to you why they shop at a company like Target versus Costco. Tell me why you're still shopping there. You know, that's what we want to know. So don't take on the burden of trying to defend. Just be glad that there's companies like Costco, and there's others, and I've got a new list that's kind of growing, and it's cool, of organizations that have stepped up. And what I think is going to happen, this is where you vote with your pocketbook, you support with your pocketbook, you rally with your pocketbook. And it may seem incremental, but let's be honest, y'all. Costco stepped up. They didn't blink an eye. They stepped up early. And they stayed there. They stood in the void. And so to have an employee say, he replied, actually, it's a landslide. We've gained more new members than we lost. The ones we lost are unpleasant people. I'm hoping that inspires you to believe that we do have, guys, positions of power that we can exercise. Don't let our elected officials run around saying that there's nothing that they can do. Not at all. When companies can do this, then we as individuals can get behind those companies. We can let them know we support what you're doing, we support your positions, and we want to let you know we're going to spend our dollars with you. And if they decide not to do that and to be a supportive company of things that are about making our country better, we could take the label of DEI off, or we can make a company say, when I say take the label of DEI, what I've skipped, and I apologize. You can make it about companies that just want to make the country and the world a better place. I want to get behind those organizations, and they're not afraid to run. They're not going to run away from taking a position. They're going to stand strong. We could call it that, or you can refer to it as diversity, equity, inclusion. But I want to see us make those companies start to use the words diversity, equity, and inclusion. I want us to start to make the elected officials use those words. Say that I'm not for diversity, equity, and inclusion, not just hide behind the acronym. Okay? That's what I want us to do. That's the pressure I want us to put on organizations and elected officials. So you mean to tell me you're not for inclusion? You're not for equity? You're not for diversity? Make them say it. Don't let them get away with DEI. The more we make them say the words, the more powerful I believe the message is. Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to hear from you in terms of that commentary, that position. But that's kind of where I'm landing on this. When we come back, I'm going to grab some calls, but I have a couple of clips that I want to play in that space that I think will impact you guys, and one that's going to probably make you laugh. But let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water. But you're getting it anyway. Because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Every 40 seconds, a child is reported missing. That's 2,000 children every single day. It's a heart-wrenching reality that we can no longer ignore. Find the Children is a non-profit organization dedicated to helping find missing kids. You can be a part of their mission by donating your unwanted vehicle, running or not. Call 1-800-775-5622. We guarantee that you will receive the maximum tax deduction. We provide fast, free pickup with 24-hour response. Call 1-800-775-5622. Find the Children provides crucial resources to help find missing children and educational materials to teach kids how to recognize and avoid predators. Our recovery programs have a proven track record of reuniting kids with their families. It's time to act. Donate your unwanted or unused car. Help us build a world where every child is safe. Pick up the phone and call 1-800-775-5622. Together, we can bring these kids home safely. This advertisement was paid for by Cars R Us and Find the Children.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see increasing cloud cover here for today with a high into the mid-30s. Winds out of the west around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, a chance for some flurries here late, mostly cloudy, a low near 23. By Tuesday, slight chance for snow early, cloudy, high of 28 degrees. Wednesday, a chance for some snow here, cloudy, and a high around 28. Thursday, sunny, high of 20. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 19.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
It's Choose View with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose View, 773-763-9278. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on social media that's unfortunately slamming the Kansas City Chiefs. Not so much for the loss, but really, again, like I said, the commentary is about where we are socially and politically right now, and I think that there's a lot of folks that have they're not afraid. Let me put this in the positive. They're more encouraged by speaking their mind about the things that they saw, and I'm curious about your thoughts about the nexus of politics, social issues, and sports. Because clearly people are making their statements about that all over social media. And it's interesting. I'm curious where you guys are. One thing that I found interesting, Devin, and this was a monetary part of this, that's part of the deal with the presidency, but the cost of him getting there and being there was somewhere between $18 and $20 million in terms of, how they break down the cost of a president's travel. But that is part of. I don't like it, but I'm certain that we could get all into the conversation around that and the waste and so forth. When particularly we got this group called Doge that's supposed to be about government efficiency. He could have watched it from the White House, had a nice party, and spent far less money. Just saying. But that's me. We're going to talk a little bit about 2026 elections in the Senate, which I want to break some things down for you guys. But I also want to talk about House Representatives. I want to say this. I'll hold this till after the clip that I want to play for you guys, because I said before the break that we're going to talk a little bit about DEI as it relates to this Costco piece. So I want you to hear this clip that Devin and I put together. Victor Blackwell, who was a host on CNN over the weekend, where he really speaks well to DEI and where we are in this conversation today. Thanks, Devin.
Engineering firm, right? Engineering firm goes out to schools, 10 schools every spring, and they go to the biggest engineering schools to recruit. Now, what we know about engineering majors is that they're predominantly white males. So if you go to those big programs and you hire based on meritocracy, it's more likely you're going to hire more white males because that's your pool. Now, if that firm said, we'll go to a couple of those schools and a couple of HBCUs and a couple of Hispanic serving institutions, a couple of women's colleges, but they still use that same meritocracy system. They change no standards. That is DEI. DEI is not replacing the meritocracy. It guarantees access to the meritocracy. They don't lower their standards. They broaden the people who are are available, the people who have access. Because if you go to just those schools, those same schools with the same demographic, that is legacy. That is nepotism. That is favoritism. That is the opposite of a meritocracy.
So for the definition, hawks out there you go. That's how you look at what diversity, equity, inclusion is designed to do for it. It's designed to improve, not take away. But the reality in this conversation is, and this is going to hit some people a certain way, and it's going to ruffle some feathers. DEI, really, in the context of balance and to what Victor Blackwell said about making sure that we keep the pool strong, it's really about an evolution of things that's taken place since the mid-'70s. And that is when we first started talking about affirmative action. And affirmative action, as so many people have thrown out the phrase, that affirmative action has most certainly benefited one group more than others, and that's white women in the workforce. There's no question about that. But also in terms of college, the numbers don't lie. You know, the math on that is irrefutable. And over the last 4 decades, since the early 80s, since Reagan's administration, the growth of women in corporate positions is not close to where it could be or should be. And I'm talking all women. But it's undoubtedly increased, without any question, the access to women to seats of corporate power. But, and again, I don't know anybody beat me up about, yeah, but Richard, it's not. I know that it's not where it should be or could be. You don't have to have that conversation with me. We can, but I'm already fully understanding that. But particularly so when it comes to women of color, and specifically black women. But I want to layer something over so you guys understand why this ties into the conversation around education. What you've got to understand, if you choose to, is that there is some evidence to show that the number of white guys that are running everything has changed in the last 40 years. And so there's a part of this sort of just raw understanding when we had this conversation today around DEI that a lot of the stereotypical white guy in charge has changed a lot, not to the extent that it should. I mean, hell, we couldn't elect a woman as president 2 times in the last decade. So it hasn't changed in many ways. Don't get me wrong. I'm not blind. However, the pushback has been veiled as that we're getting less competent people into the roles that should be run by white guys. And we've seen a number of posts in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks since Trump's been in office, that say, if white guys are running things, we don't have issues. Well, we got evidence to prove that if over history, the number of white guys that have been running things, if we wouldn't have issues, then there's lots of wars that we probably wouldn't have engaged in. There's lots of other destructive things that white guys have been at the till running that were bad decisions. Mediocre, at best, guys in those roles. So, if you layer over the fact that there have been a large number of white men who felt like they've been left behind and that they've been discriminated against, and that these programs, these DEI programs and these other programs are making us worse as a society, then you have to look at what our society was like before we had these programs and ask yourself, even with the proportionate share of leadership roles and money and home ownership and all the other staples and representations of greatness in America, what they've been is still predominantly the in charge, I should say, has been white guys. So if our country has lost its step, it's still with white guys at the helm. And so maybe DEI is necessary to fix some of that, because the plays that we've been running, to use a football analogy, haven't been running too well. And you can't blame that on DEI. You can't blame that on people that are not white men, white straight Christian men or whatever in the country. Because the data would prove that, well, maybe the problems have still existed because we still have too many mediocre white guys at the helm of too many organizations. I mean, kind of database statement, not me being hyperbolic or just stating my opinion. I just kind of look at the net result. You know, how many corporations have been driven in the ground by women of any community? How many political communities have suffered because of women of any cultural community? I mean, just name them. It's been, you know, not women that have messed things up necessarily or proportionately. So, Victor makes a good point. All right, let's go to a couple quick calls. Let's go to our good friend Kurt in Akron, Ohio. Good morning, Kurt. Welcome to Choose Views.
Hi, Richard. Thank you for taking the call.
Yes.
Sorry if I don't sound like I'm on my A game. I've been sick pretty much the whole weekend.
Yikes.
Yeah, it sucks.
What's the sickness, if you can share? Something disgusting?
I think it's Trump anxiety.
Ah, okay.
Which I shouldn't let that get to me, to be honest with you. I mean, I knew all that was coming. I don't know. Maybe it's just whatever's in the weather, too. But anywho, to piggyback on what you're saying about the DEI and all that stuff just now, and then I'll get to the topic at hand that I called about. Wouldn't you say that George W. Bush and Donald Trump could have been DEI hires, given the fact that they inherited the daddy's businesses and everything they touch goes into the ground? You know, like didn't the Texas Rangers go into the ground when Bush had his hand in it, and Trump?
And how did he get into Yale? I mean, we know the story from everything that we've all had the ability to read is how Bush too got into Yale was because Daddy stroked a check and stroked some egos and legacy.
Well, we need to also remember Prescott Bush probably had something to do with that too.
Sure.
His grandpa.
Sure, absolutely. So, that's a DEI. That's an affirmative action, move. But yeah, your point's well taken.
And I'll be fair, Al Gore was probably a DEI hire, too, given the history of what his daddy was, too.
It circles back to my comment about we get all bent out of shape about women and other folks of communities, cultural communities, moving forward in our society. And whether it's on the left or the right or in the middle, we can look at a lot of mediocre white guys who've had legacy as part of their ascension in the life that we live. That's a fact.
And I'll tell you what, the only two people I can think of right now that actually did, I'm going to say three, that actually did do it on merit to a degree because they didn't come from money, they didn't come from a family name, were Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden.
In recent
Kamala
times?
Harris.
Yeah, in recent times, yeah, it's been Biden, Harris, Obama, Clinton,
even Jimmy Carter.
I mean, there's
I'll even say Nixon.
In terms of Republicans, the last one that really made the ascent on his own would probably be Nixon. In all fairness,
maybe Jerry Ford.
Yeah, but in the broader sense of not just politics, but in life in general, in business, and education. We have so many examples of mediocre people being in those roles, and some of it's legacy, and a lot of it's, to your point, the other side or a different view of DEI.
Right, and I wanted to be fair in that whole thing because I don't want to make it sound one-sided, like it's only Republicans, because there are Democrats, too.
Absolutely.
In fact, I've actually done an audio about family legacy. Anywho, the reason I called, you asked about politics and sports.
Got it.
Well, I actually did do another audio like that, the presidency and sports. But anyway, I can speak from experience on that one because for the past 20 years, Tom Vilsack and I actually have had a rivalry going on between the two of us, between the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And every time we email, he always likes to get that dig in about the Browns, or he'll say, "Well, the Browns are really good, and they're really giving the Pittsburgh Steelers a run for their money," and all this other stuff. So, it kind of gives them a human connection in a sense, so it's not all politics all the time.
Right.
So, but like for instance, I'll never forget the one story. We went to the USDA back in 2010, my wife and my parents and I were in D.C. and we visited him over in the USDA for about an hour. And he was telling us about the weekend before. That was in October of 2010. And I don't know if you remember the game in early October of that year between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens.
Vaguely.
That was the one. That was the one where the Steelers were about to win, and then in the last 90 seconds, the Ravens got that touchdown.
Vaguely.
And won it.
Vaguely.
So anyway, that was a working weekend at Camp David for the cabinet and the spouses and the families to all hang out at Camp David with President Obama. Well, President Obama had that game up on the TV, and it was towards the end of that game, and Barack Obama says to Tom Vilsack, "Well, Tom, it looks like your Steelers are going to pull this one off. Great job," or something like that. And he thought it was a good time to pull out his BlackBerry. Yes, folks, that's how long ago it was, the BlackBerry. He pulled out his BlackBerry to check the final score, and he says that's when it happened. That's when the Ravens scored that final touchdown to beat the Steelers. He says, "I couldn't say it because I was standing next to the president, but I was thinking, oh, crap."
Yeah, sports and politics definitely do connect. Us in some crazy way.
And he also jokingly said to me one time, he said, "I got to be careful what I say about the Browns around my Secret Service detail because they might not protect me because they're Browns fans."
Too funny. Hey, man, listen, we're going to take a quick break. Thanks for the call and thanks for the commentary, Kurt. Appreciate it as always.
All right, thank you. And you have a good day, Richard.
You too, Kurt. All right, guys.
Bye-bye.
773-763-9278. Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Were you uninvited to game night? Do you play board games with the ferocious intensity of an iron-fisted oligarch? Have friends left game night asking, "How do you sleep at night?" Then you should get a mattress from Mattress Firm. They can help anyone sleep. Right now, during Mattress Firm's President's Day sale, save up to $500 on Tempur-Pedic, plus get a $300 instant gift. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store or mattressfirm.com for details.
All this year, WCPT is celebrating our 20th anniversary.
The station launched the Progressive Talk format on May 3rd, 2005 as an affiliate of the Air America Network.
And soon began airing nationally broadcast radio programs hosted by Tom Hartman,
Stephanie Miller, Randy Rhodes, Ed Schultz, Rachel Maddow,
Al Franken, Janine Garofalo, Mark Maron,
and even Jerry Springer.
Beginning in 2008, WCPT produced programs hosted by Chicago media fixtures like Dick Kay, and soon after launched the station's longest-running local shows, the Hal Sparks radio program and Out Chicago.
More recently, Jonas Bazito, Richard Chu, Edwin Eisendreth, and me, Patty Vasquez, have been added to the lineup.
WCPT will be marking this 20th anniversary milestone with special features
and a very special event in May.
We'll be announcing all of the exciting details about that soon,
so stay tuned.
And thank you so much
for helping make WCPT
Chicago's Progressive Talk for 20 years.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Let's go to our good friend Karen here in Chicago. Good morning, Karen. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good morning. So first of all, thank you for that good news about Costco. I really needed that. It kind of, actions speak louder than words is how I feel about all of this, whether it is, our social commentary in sports. I did end up watching some of the Super Bowl. I swore I wasn't going to do it, but I cannot refuse an invitation from my son. When my son calls me up and says, "Hey, Mom, do you want to come over for pizza, and watch the game?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm really not watching the game." But he's like, "Well, that's okay. Come for pizza." But I did peek to see what they had in the end zone, and it was Choose Love. So, I feel like, okay, that was their attempt at making a blanket. But the bottom line is this. They
Here's what's wrong with
the fact that Donald Trump was going to be there, but it was an admission in a way, Richard. It was an admission that they know who this person is. Right. They know that he's a racist. That really was what I think the takeaway for me is. If you're going to remove that and then put in place choose love, I mean, it's kind of a wimpy thing, but it does also tell us that they know who this guy is. They know he's a racist.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I try not to lean too hard into that, but this is what I'll tell you. Choose love is so opaque because it can mean choose loving hate. Do you know what I mean? And so that's why I was like, if you're going to put something in the end zone, have it have meaning. They could have put them both in. In racism, choose love. Choose love. And, it could have both been there. What's wrong with that? But to your point, Karen, they caved. And that's what I had issue with in terms of the game, is that they caved. Mm-hmm. Tell Donald Trump, to go. Tell Donald Trump to go kick rocks. There, I said
exactly.
It. This is our league, not you. You had a failed football team in a failed football league, so you don't know anything about running a football team, Donald Trump. So go kick rocks. That's what they should have said.
Exactly. He doesn't know how to run anything. He is a failure. He is an utter failure. And you guys were talking, so actions speak louder than words. And so for me, Costco is good for them, and they deserve all of those new memberships. And I am going to again call Target and tell them. But bottom line is this: actions speak louder than words. They can sit there and still up on the Target app or on their website have Black History Month and and message all they want. They caved. And so, and as far as DEI goes in relation to convicted felon 47 and George W. Bush, they were not they're not DEI hires. They're Nepo babies who had the advantage of having legacy because we cannot cede this. We have got to keep saying this. DEI is merit-based.
Yep.
First and foremost, which is what you were saying. So those examples, they are not DEI hires in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
They are Nepo babies.
Victor Blackwell's a segment that he did on that was really powerful, and that's why I thought I would, in line with the Costco comment from the service manager, I thought it would be good for folks to hear. I mean, it's about... It is really about it. It actually raises the standard. That's the thing that, but again, I go back to, I try as best I can to go back to, so where is some of the origin of this? Well, some of the origin of this is from mediocre, Nepo, legacy white guys that now that they're not getting what daddy used to get, they're blaming it on their lack rather than their lack of ability to compete. And that's why I wanted to kind of, meld those two together. But I hope you enjoyed the pizza.
I did.
I mean, listen.
It's a lot.
It's pizza.
Yeah,
it's pizza.
It's pizza, and it was good. It was, it's just, it's heartwarming and it's gratifying to see my boys grow into such lovely men who respect women, who they understand the assignment and the fact that they still want to hang out with their mom. I appreciate that. But I did. I wanted to say I sent you an article too, and I think my concern is that there are a lot of things to distract us right now with convicted felon 47 and him flinging poo and saying stupid things all the time. Over the weekend, Russ Vought gave what was supposed to be read-only access to Elon Musk and his muskrats. He gave them much more in-depth access to the consumer, the Consumer
Fraud Protection Bureau.
Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which came about, if people recall, as a result of the Great Recession. And so over the weekend, I called my bank to see if I could get interest rates lowered on my credit card. That's all. They're back to doing what they did in 2009. They will not work with people. And this is just kind of going to, and I believe this is why, because they see the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
They don't have to.
Yep, the good point.
So,
I saw the article, and I'll make a point of getting through it, and we may bring some of it to the show. So, thanks for that bit of information.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
Have a good day, and get out and get some fresh air in those lungs. All right, Karen. Thanks, dear. Talk to you soon.
I know. All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, guys. Listen, before we go to the break, I do want to play a clip that I think will make you chuckle a little bit if we can squeeze it. Do we have time to put in the confronted by canned vegetables? Do we have enough time to play that before we go to break? We good? So this is a clip that I just thought was hilarious because you guys saw these knuckleheads in Ohio that decided they were going to, I guess, stormtrooper into a predominantly black community, and this is what ended up happening.
My girlfriend just told me that those Patriot Front guys tried to march through Columbus, Ohio? Columbus. Okay. So they tried to march through there with their little hate parade. And Columbus, Ohio was like, we're not having that. And they threw canned vegetables at these men. I want you to think like you're just going to go out of your way to act like whatever year it is in the past and get away with it. And you're marching, and a can of cream corn clips your collarbone.
Asparagus.
Asparagus clips you in the neck, and then what do they do? What do they do about it?
They called the police.
And what do they say?
And they told the police, "We've never been met with such a violent response." What did you think, brother? You thought you thought this was 1956? What did you think?
Oh God!
What did you think?
Imagine that you have Patriot Front, you get defeated by a can of kidney beans. It's just over.
Y'all let that orange man convince you it was 1956.
Eggs might be expensive, but canned vegetables are only $1. She's doing hook shots.
Okay, guys, I can't stop laughing at that, and there's video and audio with it. If you want that so you can have something to laugh about and share with people that are in your world, just send me an email, and I will send it to you. I'll send the clip to you myself. I thought it was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. Here I am in the studio laughing, and Devin's looking at me, shaking his head like he always does. Devin's kind of judgy sometimes, y'all. He's kind of judgy, but I still love him. I think that clip is spot on, and it tickled me, and I thought you guys should hear it too. I don't want to be selfish, so I'll send it to you. But they get canned. All right, guys, let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
This is a WCPT moment in labor. On March 25th, 1911, in Manhattan, a fire at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory killed 146 workers, who were mostly women. The victims of the fire were unable to leave the burning high-rise building due to the exits being locked and were forced to leap to their deaths from the 8th, 9th, and 10th floors. Locking doors was a common practice to reduce theft and unauthorized breaks at workplaces. As a result of the fire, the New York State Legislature formed the Factory Investigating Commission, whose findings led to 38 new laws regulating labor. Some of the new laws mandated better egress, the installation of better alarm and sprinkler systems, and increased availability of fire extinguishers. Coincidentally, the American Society of Safety Professionals was formed, which now manages, researches, and consults occupational safety and health across 75 countries. This has been a WCPT Moment in Labor. We are working for your rights.
Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions, so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
AP News. Good morning, I'm Ed Donahue. Super Bowl 59 was a rout. They partied in Philadelphia as the Eagles beat the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22.
The score was crazy. We were not expecting such a blowout, but
couldn't be happier about it.
Coach Nick Sirianni says the Eagles are tough.
You saw this team embrace adversity throughout the entire year. Now, it's hard to say that when you won 16 out of your last 17, but there was adversity. There's adversity constantly.
The Chiefs had won the last 2 Super Bowls. During the halftime show featuring Kendrick Lamar, a performer unfurled a flag emblazoned with the words Sudan and Gaza in protest. He was detained. It hasn't been determined in New Orleans if charges will be filed. President Trump was at the Super Bowl. On his way to New Orleans, he said an announcement will be made today on steel and aluminum tariffs across the board, including Canada and Mexico. China's tit-for-tat duties on U.S. imports took effect today. The president also talked about his plans for Gaza.
We'll make it into a very good site for future development by somebody. We'll let other countries develop parts of it. It'll be beautiful. People can come from all over the world and live there. But we're going to take care of the Palestinians. We're going to make sure they live beautifully and in harmony and in peace.
The head of the UN AIDS agency says she is worried about the number of new HIV infections without American support of the biggest AIDS programs.
In the next 5 years, we could have 6.3 million AIDS-related deaths. 10 times more.
Winnie Bienniamil tells the AP more resistant strains of the disease could emerge. President Trump says he's serious about wanting Canada to become the 51st state in an interview that aired during the Super Bowl. A federal court has blocked the Trump administration from sending 3 Venezuelan immigrants held in New Mexico to Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. This is AP News. World leaders are meeting at an AI summit in Paris,
where challenging diplomatic talks are expected, while tech titans fight for dominance in the fast-moving technology industry. French Special Envoy and AI researcher Anne Bouvereau spoke at the opening of the summit.
It is high time that we move from science fiction to the real world of applications of AI.
Heads of state, top government officials, CEOs and scientists from around 100 countries are participating in the 2-day international summit. They include US Vice President J.D. Vance on his first overseas trip since taking office. The summit will give many European leaders a chance to meet Vance for the first time. On Tuesday, Vance will have a working lunch with French President Emmanuel Macron. I'm Karen Chamas.
Sony's PlayStation Network is experiencing a major outage across the world, impacting tens of thousands of gamers.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see increasing cloud cover here for today with a high into the mid-30s. Winds out of the west around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, a chance for some flurries here late, mostly cloudy, a low near 23. By Tuesday, slight chance for snow early, cloudy, high of 28 degrees. Wednesday, a chance for some snow here, cloudy, and a high around 28. Thursday, sunny, high of 20. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 19.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. Babbel is designed with you in mind. From expert-created lessons to conversational video units and even live classes, you can personalize your Babbel experience to be exactly what you need to really learn a new language more easily. Go ahead, set a goal for yourself. Accomplish it with Babbel. Try Babbel for free. Go to BABBEL.com. That's Babbel.com.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chu. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that will focus on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chu.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Make sure to email me. I'll send you that clip of the guy and his wife and the cans of vegetables. I know that it tickled a few of you. So I'll get it to you. Prefer if you email me the request, and it'll be easier to email than try to texting it back to you. Stay tuned today for Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. She'll be talking to Courier Newsroom correspondent Cameron Stevenson and Colin Booth. and Salon.com's Amanda Marcotte. Live, local, and progressive weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT, AM 820, the Heartland Signal website, and tune in. And then tonight, tune in to Patty Vasquez, 5 to 7. She'll be joined by positivity expert and podcaster Jen Zanotti and Jeff Baidu, licensed certified public accountant and founder and CEO of Baidu Enterprises. Driving it home with Patty Vasquez, 5 to 7 p.m. here on WCPT, Heartland Signal website. Tune in, YouTube, and Facebook. And guys, send your questions in to me. We're still working through this in terms of getting questions from you about me, in terms of asking me anything, my background, my personal history, my philosophy on life, fondest memories, favorite movies or music, my thoughts about historical events or current events, and my most memorable moments hosting Choose Views, whatever you have in your mind. You can text at 773-763-9278 or email me at richard@wcpt820.com and make your way over to Heartland Signal to check out all of our good stuff there and listen live. Of course, just say to Alexa, play WCPT from TuneIn. There you go, guys. Make your way over to our Heartland Signal digital platform. Check out all of our podcasts. It's good stuff there. Black History Month has so many different pieces to it. Black history is American history. There's nothing about I put this together in terms of our indigenous history in the United States of America and our migrant history in the United States of America, and most certainly black history in the United States of America. All of them are American history. But there's always a specific thing. There's a group that always has done something that a lot of people don't know a lot about. You hear a little bit about it, but you don't always know some of the historical perspectives. And with us this morning is one of our guests, is David Peterson Jr., who is the president of the National A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum. David, good morning and welcome to Choose Views.
Great morning and happy Monday. How are you today?
I'm doing great. And yourself? You doing well?
I'm outstanding. Thank you for another opportunity to come on and speak with you this morning.
Absolutely. Well, the anniversary it's Black History Month, and we always are gonna find so many new things that a lot of Americans don't know about, whether they be Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, Native Americans, Caucasian Americans, and the list goes on, that don't know about some of the historical things that have taken place in the country that really kind of work their way back to some sort of anniversary event around Black history. And this right now is one of those years where we're marking the 30th anniversary with regard to our A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, in addition to this being the 30th anniversary of the National A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum, it is also, and probably more significantly, the 100th year of the organizing date of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. And that is important because more than just a history museum or a community organization or a constituency organization, we are first and foremost a cultural institution. But secondly, we are manifestations of quantum physics. Why do I say quantum physics, right? Why do I mix history and physics and science, right? Well, I mean, at the core, our people are, since we're in Black History Month, we already know our people are the originators of science and math anyway. But that's another call. I'll call in for that one. But, we must understand that energy never dies. It simply transfers. So 100 years ago, August 25th, 1925, at the Elks Lodge in Harlem, New York, Asa Philip Randolph, Milton Webster, and several other porters, representatives of the porters, took a trip to Harlem, New York, where they had their first meeting, which later wound up being the organizing date, again, of the world's first and only black labor union to receive a charter under the American Federation of Labor. The Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, originally dining car waiters and maids. So all these people were kind of added into that union. So this is a great year for us because we have an opportunity to really, really bring us to the forefront, And we're glad that over these last 30 years that the museum has been in existence, founded by the one and only Dr. Lynn Hughes, we are now responsible for sparking that flare and so many different organizations, people, etc., that now finally see the importance of it and want to tell that story themselves.
It's amazing, 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 the history of so many of our communities in America. But the one that, we are celebrating this month, that being Black history. And I've said this so many times, Black history is American history. And when I say that Black history is American history, the things that we celebrate during Black history ultimately come back to something that impacted the country in a way that many people don't realize. They just don't know. And the Pullman Porters is an example, in my observation, of one of those things. The whole rail car system changed because of what the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters represented. They represented a sense of elegance, a sense of social dynamic, and a group of men that were taking it on themselves to improve their lives and the lives of their families while serving people, while serving to make sure that folks who were on rail cars had a good experience. And this is, once again, one of those things that we as Black folks have to be proud of, because it changed the way that people traveled by rail car. Speak to that for a minute.
Absolutely. And that's typically, that's typically the story that most people know. That's the one that's in the forefront. That's the one that, all people, initially find out about, But it's also similar to that Sambo caricature that most people would so affectionately love to just remember us as, But again, what we do at the Asa Philip Randolph, the National Asa Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum, is we elevate these men to humanity. We talk about who they were when they got off of work. We talk about who they were when they went home to their families, when they went back to their communities, and that's when they became the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. The people who would ride those trains, they would look at these gentlemen as people, pieces of machinery. They called them George. They didn't even feel that they were afforded the luxury of having some just basic respect. And that's why the fight that these men went through was so important. So again, at the museum, what we do is we talk about the union side of these gentlemen. We talk about organized labor. We talk about being union men. We talk about community men that sparked and grandfathered the civil rights movement. That's why, again, this 100-year anniversary is so important. On the train, these guys, they did so much to revolutionize, the tourism and hospitality industry by offering superior service in a climate that was, for all practical purpose, extremely disrespectful, even violent in some cases. And that's why these men had such respect, because despite these circumstances, they were able to offer such a superior service that people from all around the world wanted to experience it at one point in their life.
Talk a little bit about, and thank you for that, in terms of the dignity part, and in the conditions that they were working in, they still maintained their dignity, they maintained their class, and they maintained the element of service that then broadened, candidly, it broadened how rail service could be for Americans because of the way in which the Pullman Porters dignified the role of service. They then raised the standard of service on rail cars throughout America. And that's the part that we have to be proud of in terms of what our ancestry in this category has represented. Talk a little bit about some of the Philip Randolph gentle warrior characteristics. Just take a couple of moments and talk about him and the leadership that he provided for so many Black Americans specifically at that time.
He was a very poised man. He was very articulate, very intelligent, a member of different fraternities and brotherhoods, a Freemason, a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. He was a magazine publisher or a newspaper publisher before, so he was a great speaker, a great writer, and that's what elevated him to who he was. God is the best engineer that we will ever know. And, he knew that it would take someone like Asa Philip Randolph in order to lead this charge. So that's why he was chosen by the Porters in order to do this. He had no, interest in being a porter. He never was a porter or anything of that nature. In fact, when the gentleman originally found out about him, because he wrote about them in his newspaper called The Messenger, which he was publishing in Harlem at that time, they found him and said, you know what, we think you'll be a great person to lead us. We hear about how you're writing about us. We know about your history. We want you to lead us. And he immediately said, well, no, I'm not necessarily interested in that, because he had previously tried to organize an elevators worker union. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't successful, so he wasn't necessarily, interested in going into that fight again. But it wasn't until, they just would not let up, and they let him become a porter for 1 year. They said, we just for one day. We said, you know what, we want you to just experience what it's like. And after he took that train ride himself as a porter in disguise, if you will, and did his own reconnaissance, he then said, okay, you know what, that's it. We have got to do this. And that's what made it passionate for him, because he was able to experience it firsthand, an empirical experience about what these gentlemen were going through.
And what's great about that is that experience that he had, and that being quote incognito allowed him to gather data. But it also leaned into, from all that I know about Mr. Randolph's work, is it helped in establishing what a lot of people in America, in the general population, don't realize, is that the collective bargaining and the ability to create collective bargaining as an agreement with major corporations, had it not been for A. Philip Randolph and for the Pullman porters, we wouldn't. It's a very strong possibility, I should say, that we wouldn't have some of the strength of unions that we have today when it comes to collective bargaining. That's right at the lap of these sleeping car porter union members at that time, and it's carried forward.
Absolutely. I mean, without Randolph, there are a lot of things that we wouldn't have. And so many people, black, white, purple, dotted, and spotted, take for granted. It's so easy to just make things a race thing. Oh, it's black and white. No, this isn't even just American history. This is world history. This is labor history. This is women's history. It's just so many different historical contexts that this crosses over. Asa Philip Randolph, if it were not for him, there would have not been an executive order 8802. Which was signed and passed in 1941, which banned all discriminatory practices in the armed forces and work-related fields, which then ended discrimination in the Army. Yep. So therefore, and work-related fields. So therefore, there are no black post office workers, working for a federal agency without A. Philip Randolph and this executive order. There is no international advocacy for the Tuskegee Airmen if there is not an A. Philip Randolph. Yep. There is no black representation in the American Federation of Labor. There is no March on Washington, which people only remember a soundbite of King's speech there.
Yeah.
This is an entire movement that took place for this march. It wasn't just a speech.
Part of that reason, David, is because that's the easy stuff. It's easy to have, Dr. King's speech be the thing that everybody wants to remember. And it's notable and it should be remembered. But the conversation really is, how did we get there? And I'm of that historical perspective of, okay, how did where does this originate, and how did we get from A to B to C to D? Let's pivot a little bit, but not too much. I want to talk a little bit about the gala. Many of you guys may not know this, but you should know it, and it's coming from my voice, that there is going to be a Gentle Warrior Awards Black Tie Gala fundraiser on Saturday, February 26th, from 5 to 10 p.m. The event will take place at Wintrust Grand Banking Hall, 231 South LaSalle, here in Chicago. And that's going to be emceed by ABC's Chicago personality, Hosea Sanders. Talk a little bit about that. Who's being awarded this year, if you can, David?
Yeah, and again, that's actually Saturday, February 22nd. We typically do it right around our organizing date, which is February 25th. So we usually do it the Saturday annually of that. So in addition to Jose this year, we brought on somebody to help him out a little bit since it's our 30th. So we brought in Val Warner. She's going to be the co-host as well. So we're excited about seeing her. So ABC is very, very heavy in representation here. But we're honoring descendants of distinction this year. So we've added that category just to talk about some of the people who are descendants of Pullman porters who have brought forth such greatness. And that's Donna Miller. She's a Cook County commissioner.
Yep.
She's a descendant of a Pullman porter. And Barbara Bates, fashion phenom. So she's been in the fashion game for decades and made a huge imprint in the fashion world for African Americans and for women.
Yep.
We're honoring U.S. Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. We're honoring April Verrett. She's the first black president of the National SEIU, which is the largest union. We're honoring William Bill Lucy, awarded posthumously. So he's a gentleman who's a founding member of Chicago Black Trade Unions, and our former president, Demetrius of AFSCME. He made his transition, but we want to make sure that people understand his legacy because he was absolutely a freedom fighter for us. And also Michelle Flowers of our Flowers Communication Group, another person who's been in this game, in the advertising game for decades. And has never yielded. She maintained her autonomy, and we're proud of the work she's done. Also, Kevin McLaughlin, he's executive secretary, treasurer of the Mid-American Carpenters, and also a hometown hero, Bernardo Gomez. He's the City of Chicago Community Engagement Manager, also chairman of Disability Employee Resource Group, disability-led fellow. And that's the first time that the City of Chicago has ever had an office like this for people with disabilities like that. And also, we're honoring an organization, the Black McDonald's Operators Association. They are, they do a lot of different things in Hammond, Indiana, as well as the Chicagoland area.
Yeah.
And they're actually a national organization, but the Chicagoland ones are the ones we're honoring because of the intentional work that I've seen them do to give back to the community, be present in the community, and just be a voice within the entire McDonald's umbrella for Black Americans. So all these different people, there are different reasons that we've given them the awards, but we're really excited and honored and privileged to be able to honor them on this day.
I'm excited about it. The names that you listed of the folks that are to be honored are just an incredible list of folks who've done great work and have great legacy in their families inside and outside of the sleeping car porters, the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, and the impact that they've had. David, like I said at the beginning of this segment, when you first came on, is that there's so much history in the country as we wrap up, and I want to have you chat about this. There's so much history in our country that, rightfully so, is the segmented illumination of that community, whether it be the African American community, the Native American, Hispanic, Muslim, Asian, women, LGBTQ. The list goes on. We have so many wonderful patches to our fabric, to our what do I want to call it? Our blanket. I can't call the word right now, but we have so many pieces to our wonderful blanket that is part of our country, and acknowledging and recognizing the history of the varied groups and the diversity in our country is probably the most American thing that we can do, is to acknowledge the histories of all of our communities, individually and collectively. So as we wrap up, tell us a little bit about your belief, your feeling about acknowledging our communities and their respective histories.
I think it's important that we acknowledge, these histories in different communities, because it again humanizes the history. It's so easy to just talk about these great stories as if the impact of them has been so long ago. But a lot of these things that we're fighting for, we're currently still fighting for. Asa Philip Randolph and those gentlemen, they were fighting for jobs in the 1920s. The March on Washington in the 1960s was about jobs. Today we're still fighting for jobs. So, at some point we just have to get up and say, what, enough is enough. We're going to create our own jobs. And it's that type of strength that comes from the proof of concept that the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters was able to present. And that is the same energy that we have become the depository for. So we've been able to harness this energy for 30 years, and now we're keeping it going. But again, the museum, we're not just a building with pictures on it. We're a living, breathing movement. And with that, we work with community organizations like Activist Inc. in order to create workforce development opportunities and training programs for community at large to be employed. We work with students to teach them about advocacy training. We work with students to teach them about media and how to use their voice to push forward change and all of these different things. And again, all of this comes from the bloodline of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. So again, as we celebrate the centennial of these gentlemen's organizing date, it's so important that the work continues. So I'm a proud member of CBTU, Chicago chapter myself. We work with the Chicago Federation of Labor. We're allies with the American Federation of Labor. All of these different organizations we represent and work with because it gives us the opportunity and the capacity to keep the movement going.
That's a powerful statement. Can folks still get tickets or be able to register to attend the gala this Saturday? Or not this Saturday, but Saturday, February 22nd?
Yeah, absolutely. Just go to PullmanPorterMuseum.com or APR Gentle Warrior Awards and .com, and you'll be able to get all the information. Now you can visit us on all our social media channels just to get ported in there. So Facebook, we're National A for the Randolph Pullman Porter Museum. Instagram, APR Pullman Porter Museum. All these different sites you can just get. We're very easy to find. I mean, you can just Google Pullman Porters. I mean, we're going to come right up. So we're excited. We're excited about that, and we hope that everyone will be encouraged by all of the new developments we have going on. We've been closed for a little bit because we're expanding, but the work is absolutely still going on, and just a testament that what we do is bigger than just a physical place or a building. This is literally a movement.
Absolutely. Well, listen, David Peterson Jr., thank you for being with us this morning. We appreciate your work and taking a little bit of time out of your morning to talk about the event, talk about our wonderful Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. David, thanks for being with us. We look forward to having you back in the future and wish you a fantastic February 2025.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a fantastic week.
You got it. Take care. Bye now. All right, guys. How about that? For those of you who didn't know, if you've never taken a train anywhere in terms of a train that's a sleeping car train or a train that's more than your regional commuting trains, this is where a lot of the luxury and the wonderfulness and the design really comes from. It's the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, having a great event on February 22nd. And you can definitely, as David said, go to their website. You can Google the information, and if you're interested in attending, certainly check that out. It's going to be on Saturday, February 22nd, from 5 to 10 p.m. And the event will take place at the Wintrust Grand Banking Hall, 231 South LaSalle here in Chicago. So that's going to be a great event. All right, Dev, let's take a quick little break. When we come back, we're going to hit you guys with a few clips that I've got ready for you. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Join me and WCPT Radio at the Southland Friends of Labor 16th Annual Jobs Breakfast, Monday, February 24th. We will be in Joliet at IBEW Local 176. This special union event is free to all active and retired union members and all WCPT listeners. Come and enjoy a great breakfast and WCPT's special broadcast with me. Guests being interviewed include Andy Rico, Business Manager, IBEW Local 176, Bob Howard, President of the Chicago and Western Lakesport Council, and Stephen Powell, President of Local 881 UFCW. Doors open at 7:30. If you want to attend, please call or text 708-996-1291 and leave a voicemail to save a seat. Free to all WCPT listeners and active and retired union members. See you on the 24th.
When you think of erectile dysfunction, think of Mark Drugs. Dr. Craig here with Mark Drugs in Roselle and Deerfield, letting you know that we are here to help. Over 50% of all men over the age of 40 report symptoms of erectile dysfunction, and the other half might be too shy to admit it. We stock generic versions of the most popular ED medications for as little as $1 per pill that we could dispense with a valid prescription. We can also arrange delivery next day if needed. Additionally, we can help if your case is more complicated due to previous prostate issues. You may be a candidate for our prescription compounded Trimix products. We can also help women experiencing dryness or atrophy with low-dose prescription estrogen creams or hormone-free over-the-counter products such as Dr. Cheng's New Eve Silk. We understand that it's not the easiest thing to discuss, but believe me, we've heard it all. We are here to help you love making love again. You have a choice when it comes to your health care, and a great choice is Mark Drugs in Roselle and Deerfield, where you get better health and care for you and your pets. That's markdrugs.com.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see increasing cloud cover here for today with a high into the mid-30s. Winds out of the west around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, a chance for some flurries here late, mostly cloudy, a low near 23. By Tuesday, slight chance for snow early, cloudy, high of 28 degrees. Wednesday, a chance for some snow here, cloudy, and a high around 28. Thursday, sunny, high of 20. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 18.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Great to have David with us this morning and to talk about an important part of American history, and that's the Brotherhood of Pullman Porters. They changed the game when it comes to service. They just did. People can debate me all day long about that, but they changed the game. And I'm not just talking about service on trains, but service in general, the service industry. That's who you can tip your hat to. All right, guys, listen, so many comments that I'm getting from people about the Super Bowl and just people throwing, throwing bombs, figuratively speaking, at Donald and his stupid comments overnight and this morning. Anyhow, Donald can kick rocks. All right, so let's talk about some things that we can do, that we can try to have impact on immediately and in the near future. So what am I talking about? All right. We know that we've got the Snucklehead in the White House, and he's got his Doge boys and his Doge boy-ettes and all that. But I've been saying for the longest time, we have to look at the tools that we have in front of us to be able to use to move things forward. And in the 2026 midterm election, this is something that you guys have to pay attention to, and I'm going to do my best to keep it top of mind for you. And that is taking back one of the chambers of Congress. So I'm going to start and work backward. But this is what I mean. There are a number of GLP senators that are up for re-election. And we don't have to pick off all of them, and we may not be able to, but if we pick off enough and hold our line, then that allows us to have regain control of the Senate in the second half of, assuming he lives that long, Donald Trump's term. So I'm going to give you the list, and then I'll create a document that I can post that you guys can email me, and I'll get it out to you if you send me an email. But let's start and just work our way through it as quickly as we can. Shelley Moore Capito, who is who's in West Virginia, Bill Cassidy in Louisiana, Susan Collins. Did y'all see the clip? Did you guys? Anybody see that clip that was put together? It was like a 3-minute long thing on Susan Collins being troubled and disappointed and all. It's really good. Anyhow, Susan Collins in Maine, John Cornyn in Texas, Tom Cotton in Arkansas. Arkansas. Steve Daines in Montana, Joni Ernst in Iowa, Lindsey Miss Graham in South Carolina, Bill Haggerty in Tennessee, Cindy Hyde-Smith in Mississippi, Cynthia Loomis in Wyoming, Roger Marshall in Kansas, Mitch McConnell in Kentucky, Mark Wayne Mullen in Oklahoma, Pete Ricketts in Nebraska, excuse me, James Risch in Idaho, Mike Rounds in South Dakota, Dan Sullivan in Arkansas, Tom Tillis in North Carolina, and Tommy Tuberville in Alabama. These are all Republicans that are up for re-election in 2026. So Democrats, now's the time. To the DNC, to Mr. Martin, now's the time to start going after those folks right there. And let's pick off 3 or 4 of those It's doable if we do the work now. And we, as the consumer or the voter, have the opportunity to help in that regard. So I'm going to put together a list, put this list together in a Word document that I can send out to you guys, and we can start the work now. Okay, that's one list. I'll get it to you. Give me a couple of days to have it put together the right way that I can then email it to those who want it. Email me, ask for the list of Republican senators, and I'll get that to you guys hopefully by week's end. Now, in an immediate fashion, a good friend of mine, and I've mentioned her name before, Christina, sent me a reminder through video of the changes that can take place pretty much within the next 60 to 90 to 120 days, by 4th of July, in the House of Representatives. It's an uphill bit of work, but it's work that if we believe in what we say we believe in when it comes to taking back our country, then it's work we got to put in. So what am I talking about? House of Representatives. Trump nominated 3 Republican members of the House, the GOP, to his cabinet. 2 names I can't remember, 1 I can. But let me talk about this to the knowledge piece that I have. And this is another clip that I won't play, but it's a video that I will get to you. If you email me, I will get it to you. What am I talking about? There's 3 races there's 3 seats that require special elections. And 2 of them are in Florida that require a special election. And we've got 2 strong Democratic candidates running that will run in those special elections. And you guys understand the numbers. At 217 to 215 is where we sit right now. So if we pick off those 2 in Florida, and listen, don't get me wrong, I know it's an uphill fight. I know that. However, if we pick off those 2 seats in Florida, it stalls everything Donald Trump wants to do, because then we have 217 to 217 in the House. And that's massive right now. It's a checkpoint that we need. The country needs it. The world needs it, frankly. So are you willing to work hard enough to do what we can to help these 2 candidates? I'll pull together the data and have that as well. And we'll talk about it this week. The third one is a name that you recognize, and that's Elise Stefanik in New York. That's a seat that we should be able to flip in this special election. And Hakeem Jeffries and Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, and Hakeem Jeffries, who's from New York as a representative, but the House Minority Leader, are doing everything they can to make sure that we can get this seat. Can you imagine? This is where we have to have vision sometimes, guys, and I want to lead the charge in this way. Can you imagine we pick off those 2 seats in Florida, and it's 217, and then we picked off New York and got Stefanik's seat, and we're at 218, and Hakeem Jeffries becomes the Speaker of the House? How powerful that would be. And then we impeach Trump and Vance, and then Hakeem becomes President of the United States. Devin's giving me his wry smile. Got to have vision, y'all. I mean, seriously. I know it's tough. But that's the vision that we have to have. We can't not have vision. I'm sorry if you disagree with me on that. I'm not sorry. I understand that if you do, or you want to give me a reality check. No, you don't. I'm a very realistic person. I'm just not willing to put down my fight. And I want to inspire you guys in that same vein. So we pick off 2 in Florida, it's tied 217. Then we get New York, it's 218. Hakeem Jeffries is now the Speaker of the House, 3rd in line for the presidency, and we impeach Trump and Vance. He is then the President of the United States. Why would you not want to fight for that? Give me a reason. And it can't be, well, Richard, it's unlikely that. Stop saying that. We don't have the tools. Well, doggone it, if we fight hard enough, maybe we can get some of these tools back. Last time I checked, that's what part of being an American is all about, irrespective of your community. Is fighting for what you believe in, fighting for what you want. So doggone it, let's go about that. And I'm going to keep talking about this, as well as these future Senate GOP seats. But right now, we got an opportunity to make a statement. We're all freaked out and worried and all these other things. Doggone it, put the energy into that rather than just being, and no disrespect to anybody. Nobody take that the wrong way. I'm trying to be inspirational and say, let's help out to get this done wherever we are in the country. those 3 seats are gettable. Okay? So, Devin, let's grab a quick call. Let's go to Al in Franklin Park. Al, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Richard. That's funny. I was calling in when you started your little rant there to say don't forget about the races that are happening right now, and that we have to be paying attention to those as well, because you had been mentioning the ones coming up at midterms. And it's important to get our Army working on all these races and talking to anybody they might know in these districts. So we have to know when they are and who's running and get our energy working, because the more people that are thinking about this and are happy about it and so on, we'll manifest that happening like you just said.
No, listen, Al, I appreciate you holding my feet to the fire in that regard. I take no offense to that whatsoever. I was just working my way backwards from 2026 to now, and thank you for reminding us all of that, because I'm a firm believer that we haven't had enough vision about what we can get done when it comes to these races. And I think right now, if we do, then we put ourselves in a really strong position. And so I appreciate you reminding us of that. And I'm going to keep putting together the names and the things that we can be doing and where we can be calling and who we can be working with. So thank you so much for that.
And also maybe even just talking to people in those districts and finding out what's going on, not necessarily the candidates, but just the more that our Army knows about this and so on. And we have to be talking to our friends. Who do we know that live in these districts that can help? We got to do grassroots networking here. I remember you did that with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Did I get that right? And you did it for the senator in West Virginia, and none of those came out the way we wanted them, but you were bringing those to light and so on and so forth.
Well, my point, first of all, thank you for reminding us of that. And what I want to be able to do, candidly, Al, is to have those folks that are running for those seats be on the show. That's my lofty goal. It's to bring out their messages, to talk about what they're fighting for. And I love what you said about the local, what's going on in those communities, in those districts, that will be tools to help the voters in that area understand that we have an opportunity to make some change. And maybe, Al, we'll pick off some people who have buyer's remorse. Maybe. But we have to be at least aspirational in our thinking about it. And like you said, try to manifest it forward and being involved. So thank you for the reminder this morning.
And as you said before, joyful warriors.
Right on, Al. Glad to hear your voice and glad you're doing well. Have a great day, okay?
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. Let's go, before the break, let's go to Steve real quickly in Des Plaines. Steve, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Richard. An interesting thing that we need to remember, if we could take over the Congress and Hakeem Jeffries becomes Speaker of the House, and then Trump dies, passes out from too many hamburgers, Jeffries would become Vice President. So I don't know if that's ever happened in history, that there would be Vance as the Republican president and Jeffries as the Democratic Vice President. So that's a very quite possible scenario that could play out. So that's another little interesting twist that you never know. It could go that way.
Well, that's why I was saying. I mean, if we impeach him, right, that could happen, and there's a couple of steps in there. So, he could no longer be with us, and there's our secession could favor us. But what we have to do, we've got to do that. I mean, I know in all candor, I received a text from someone, and I want to address this while I have you on the phone. I received a text from someone that says you're being naive talking about what Dems need to do for the 2026 election. We need to be talking about what Dems can do now to stop the ongoing coup by Trump, or there ain't going to be an election in 2026. Wake up, Richard. Yeah. Well, I'm wide awake.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Fully plugged in, and I'm aware of the fact that we have to start doing the work right now. That's why I said, with regard to the House, and laid it out to say, I know that 2026 is ways away and we have work to do before we get there. And part of that work is potentially to take back the House by getting these 3 seats. And I know that it's work.
Yes.
But that's what we have in front of us. That's the opportunity rather than sitting back. And see, this is what I don't want to do, Stephen. I think you can appreciate this. I don't want to fire off some keyboard anger at somebody. Why not take the other approach, which is to be inspirational about what we can get done? So for those who are upset with me for saying that 2026 is too far out and we need to be doing work right now, last time I checked, that's what we're trying to do right now, is to keep people inspired and moving forward. And I like what you had to say. I do. I love what you had to say. You never know.
We take over the House and the special elections, and he happens to pass away. That would be quite. It'd be quite the scenario. And real quick, I appreciate it. I'm a political science major at Northeastern, and I'm inspired. And there'll be an election in 26, so we'll storm the White House. There's no way there won't be an election because the American people would not stand for it. We would not stand for it. So I think we can take that off the table. There will be an election in 26.
We can walk and chew gum in this space right now. So.
That's right. So,
Steve, thank you, man. Appreciate your call. We're going to cut a quick break.
Sounds good. Thank you, buddy.
Take care, man. All right. Let's hit a quick break, Devin. 773-763-9278. We'll be right back.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
As many as 1 in 5 American adults has symptoms and signs of irritable bowel syndrome. Common symptoms include cramping, abdominal pain, bloating, gas, diarrhea, and constipation. But Dr. Daniel Leffler from Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center in Boston says a dietary management approach, the low FODMAP diet, can help.
There's differences in the type of microbiome and bugs that live in the intestine. And one way that you can treat that is by giving those bugs less food to eat. So the FODMAP diet actually reduces the amount of hard-to-digest sugars in your diet. And it actually has been shown to significantly decrease abdominal pain, bloating, gas, and improve bowel habits in a significant proportion of IBS patients.
The FODMAP diet can be complex, but your gastroenterologist can work with you to custom tailor a plan that will help you. With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views. Going to grab a couple final calls before we wrap up today. Let's go to Howard and Skokie. Howard, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. First of all, I'd like to point out that the previous caller was wrong about the presidential succession. If
the vice president... Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Impeached, then the vice president becomes president and nominates a new vice president, like in the case of Gerald Ford taking over for Spiro Agnew.
Right. The secession, he does get it. Right. That it doesn't mean that the House Speaker automatically becomes a vice president. That's not exactly how that happens. It's a little bit more technical than that. So good point, Howard.
Secondly, I think what you need is a multi-pronged attack against Trump and the Republicans. Break it down into maybe three areas. One, constant presentation of issues, complete with fact-checking on them.
Right. Well, here's the thing regarding that, Howard. What the Dems have to do, and I've been saying this and others have as well, it has to be from we have to fight with all the tools that we have. And one of them is lawsuits. And the other is that the Senate Dems have to play hardball. They have to play hardball. The House has to, certainly, but the leaders have to play hardball. And hardball, to me, means every single week pointing out the failures of the administration and tactically being ready for a showdown. And one of the big ones that's coming is the government funding and government shutdown. They have to be willing, meaning the Democrats, to be on full display. And to your point about fighting from different angles, it's required right now. It's not an option. They have to fight from all angles, and they have to every single day. Unfortunately, but every single day.
One other thing that I haven't heard someone talk about is sort of get down in the dirt and get someone who's not going to be a candidate, or a couple of people who aren't going to be candidates, who are nonetheless going to go out and just trash Trump and his associates in the same manner that he trashes everybody else.
There's some value to having a person. Howard. There's some value to having a person that's willing to do that. But at the same time, I think that we can have how I believe that needs to happen is this, Howard, is that it needs to be a daily dose of what the administration is failing at doing and the harm that it's causing, so that people know that the Democrats are awake at the wheel and understanding the task in front of us. Does it mean getting dirty, down in the dirt, and all that? I don't know if that's the definition, but it does mean we have to daily have there has to be a daily dose of what's going on.
The important thing is to have a non-candidate, so that if whoever runs for office in the future doesn't get bogged down in that, and that someone is the official attack dog, so to speak.
I'm nominating Howard from Skokie as that person right now.
There's some things I could say. I don't know if I can keep saying it on a regular basis, but I could say a few harsh words every now and then.
I get it, Howard. Thank you, as always, for your contribution, and good to hear your voice this morning.
All right, thank you.
Take care. Bye now. All right, let's go to Victor, West Coast. Good morning.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Good. How are you,
Mr. Chu? How do you do?
Very well. What's going on?
I know
today?
You sound great.
Thank you.
I want to say you are a frontline warrior, and we need you on the ground to be the voice of the Democratic Party, because they seem to be reticent in being so vocal. However, I would like to say Black History Month. Without Black history is American history. The entire Southern economy during those slave labor days was built on the backs of black men and black women and black children who did all the work. They built the Capitol of the United States of America. They built the White House. And the whole economic engine of the South was based on slave labor. And we really have to make that point so people can understand how great of achievement that black people have done in service to making America great. And I would also like to add that everything that Donald Trump and Elon Musk, who apparently is Donald Trump's hitman, is destroying all the programs, all the entitlements, all the agencies, and all the departments of the United States that have been created to keep Americans safe, protected, and also give an economic boost to all Americans that need help. And when they get through done, I still don't understand what the whole entire purpose of what they are doing, because it's going to destroy America economically. And, you know, the people in the South, in rural America, they depend on so many of these services, including the Department of Education, that what will happen is these people will become desperate. Most of Americans will be desperate, and desperate people do desperate things. So I don't understand the entire thrust of what they're doing, because it's going to destroy America and destroy our economy. What is the inevitable outcome? I wish someone would explain it to me. What is the purpose of what they are doing? What is their end game? It just does not make any sense except to destroy America. And I wish people would understand that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I'm with you in large measure, Victor, because that is what can happen with certain services being removed from so many members of so many citizens in the country. We know that this is carnage. This is craven, and it's in some cases by some experts being viewed as criminal. And so to the one person that sent me the text earlier, I mean, I get it. We got a lot of work to do before 2026. We have that work right now, and we have to maintain every single day a perspective that says we cannot allow the least amongst us to be impacted by these executive orders and these crazy policies and this involvement by DOJ in areas that are so sensitive and personal to so many people. So there's no question in my mind. We have to stay in the fight, guys. We don't have an option. We just don't. I try to be inspirational in the sense that we know that that's the fight, but are we willing to stand up and fight? And that's what I think we all recognize that we have to do. So, Victor, thank you as always for your call.
Thank you, Mr. Chu. Thank you for what you do, and keep up the great work.
We'll do.
And our thoughts, prayers, and our action will be behind you.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good day, Victor. Stay safe. Thanks for the call.
You too. Take care. Be safe.
All right. So, guys, we have a couple of clips that I wanted to play for you today, but I don't want to push the end of the show because we have to hit our time as we wrap up. But we'll hit them tomorrow because they're relevant as it relates to our conversation around where we are with regard to DEI, Black History Month, and American history. So we'll get to those tomorrow. But I do want to come back to something that we talked about earlier with regard to the House being taken back by the Democratic leadership. So just to kind of give you guys a little bit of here's how it would be if Trump dies. To make sure I clean this up, Jeffries would not automatically become vice president. Vance is presumably president, and he would be able to pick. That's how it's always worked. But this is the thing I was saying. To be clear, taking back the House puts Hakeem Jeffries in the position as House Majority Leader. And if they then impeach Trump and Vance, that's how it would change the dynamic of who's the next president. That's what I was trying to get to. So I apologize if I stepped all over that. That wasn't my goal. It was to give you guys some good thoughts about the work that we can put in right now, not just for 2026 midterms, but right now to affect the numbers in the House of Representatives. Let's win those seats in Florida in these special elections, and let's grab that seat that Elise Stefanik has in New York. You never know. You never know. So, all right, guys, end of the show. I can't believe we got here, but we did. And as always, we're going to be back tomorrow. We got a great show for tomorrow. But take a deep breath, guys. Let's make our lives count. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hellacious One, coming to you from the file room of the basement of WCPT 820 in Chicago. Checking the file on the Sports Cubicle. The hosts, systems analyst Mike Mercado, project manager Devin Tingle, the marvelous one, Dan Marver in accounting, and me, well, it doesn't matter what I do. You can check us out, the Sports Cubicle, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Central on WCPT 820 Chicago. Gotta go, Sports Cubicle, 9 p.m. Sundays, WCPT.
Are you tired of talking to yourself? We can get you an audience on the radio. You can produce and host your own radio show on one of our 2 stations. Please call 773-792-1121. That's 773-792-1121 and ask for Mark. Limited space available.
Stephanie Miller.
It's another true Stephanie Miller Show story, Chris LeBoy. Yeah, from with Jane in St. Charles, Illinois. It's real. Stephanie Miller fans are everywhere. We're meeting in parking lots. It happened just yesterday. I got to my car after leaving the grocery store. There was a woman loading her groceries in the car. She had a radio on to WCPT 820 Progressive Radio. I couldn't resist. I said, I think we would qualify to say that we listen to the Stephanie Miller Show. We both laughed and said, yes, we would. I love it.
Stephanie Miller, weekday mornings, 8 to 11 on WCPT 820.
Hey, Progressives, this is Richard Chu, host of Chu's Views here on WCPT AM 820, 6 to 8 a.m. Monday through Friday.